All right, what's up, y'all? Peace. This is Jay Dizzle. Make sure you subscribe, like, give your opinions, comment. What I want to do on this one is I want to I just want to express some opinions and go over conspiracies versus common sense when it comes to Nipsey Hussle. Listen, I'm not doing this in any way to try to benefit or gain off of the murder of Nipsey Hussle. I've said what I felt on my other channel, but I always kept it respectful and I always allowed LA and the RSC and Nip's family to be the ones that handle things, because it's like we have a lot of different opinions, but we have to understand that if we're getting our information from the internet or from the media, that we have to be really careful what we really entertain. I have addressed on my Facebook and on my other channel some of the disrespect that came after his death. But really, what I wanted to do more so than anything is I celebrated his life because I understand what he was trying to do and the message that he was really putting in his music and how important it was. That's why, this hurt people, even that didn't know Nip. Like, I only knew him through his music and through his interviews. However, I identified with Nip a lot because of the fact that, along with being a street brother, he really had a good heart. And if you really listen to his music, if you really can hear his message, then you know it wasn't just about cripping, making money, bitches, guns. You knew that that wasn't even his message. He through and through. I don't care what album you listen to of Nipsey Hussle, there was always a message. He was always putting out things like, "Hey, you're a bitch if you can't take a fade and you come back shooting." You know what I'm saying? That's like, you have to understand that his constituency, that he was the audience that he was really speaking to, was people that was from the LA gang culture. In other words, it might not be fit 100% for those of us who may call ourselves conscious, or those who are already on that path and already, have these understandings. What this was for, what his message was really geared to, but it was universal at the same time. But it was really geared to those who needed to hear some of these things, who needed to know that there's a different perspective to street life and gangbanging, and that people on the streets have to rise up and have the potential and the ability and capability and responsibility and even the obligation to level up. That's really what he was trying to do. He was trying to let regular street brothers know that they can level up. Look, you can get into this game of business. You can get into politics. Look, you should be taking care of your community. You should be respectful to the elders. You should be mindful of what you're doing and the moves you're making, because the youth is watching. Look, we have to understand that this. I'm speaking like what Nipsey Hussle's message meant to me and what I got out of the message. He was letting people know that basically, hey, you can still represent where you from. We understand we're unapologetic about cripping and blooding and how we grew up. However, we should be bosses. He even had a message to those that were in the industry, letting them know, like, look, man, at this point in time, like he said things like record labels treating rappers like slaves, and watching how these record labels do these rappers has got me mad, like I'm watching Roots. You know what I'm saying? So he's basically letting you know, like, look, man, you could be independent with it. So that means that he got the message from other rappers who did this, like Master P. So if you really look at the comprehensive message he was given, it's all positive. Now I know when he passed, a lot of people, a lot of haters, they wanted to just focus on one or two lines that he said that may have been, a little ratchet or a little whatever. But understand how he grew up, and understand that his constituency, who he was trying to reach, was people who could identify with the streets. And in order for someone to, you don't just go from A to Z. So in order to really have an effect on people, you have to build rapport. You have to show that you come from where they come from. So he's identifying with them because that's just who he is naturally. But then he's saying, look, here's a different way of doing it. He basically took Tupac's strategy, enhanced it to his particular situation. And because Pac died at 25, he had another 8 years to implement some of the things that we know Pac was striving for. So we got to salute Nips for that, man. One of the things that hurt me when Nips passed, or when Nips was murdered, assassinated, as his mother would say, was because when I really seen some of the things Nips was doing. I knew Nip from a couple of interviews and from a couple of his albums before he passed, and then I started going into more of his discography and some of in his interviews. But even from what I've just listened to from his mixtapes, I already knew where he was at with it. So it didn't surprise me when I found out that he was doing a Sabi documentary. It didn't surprise me when I found out that he had a STEM program and that Vector 90 and saying all these other things. It didn't surprise me because I seen that he was an intelligent brother, and I could tell from his music that he was on a different level. He was striving for some real things. He was putting a message out there, saying, and as somebody who called himself, someone who thought that they could rap. I thought that I could rap and this and that. Now, when I made my transition from streets to being more responsible, I found it hard to find that balance of rapping about some positive things without it sounding corny or soft. Then what I would do is I go back to some of my old lyrics when I was spitting that gangster Mac shit, and I realized even within that, I actually would drop some jewels and have a message in it. He perfected the art of being able to keep it gangster, real gangster, meaning being able to stand up for what you believe and be who you are, yet real gangster really care about the community. Real gangsters really care about the children. Real gangsters don't try to influence the youth to go through a path that they know is a trap. Real gangsters by the block. Real gangsters take care of their people first and foremost. Understand that. Real gangsters are about family. If you look at some of the, because we like these Capones and Corleones and Gottis and all that. But if you really look at like the Italian crime families, the Jewish crime families, the Irish crime families, the mobsters that we say back in the day, if you really understood, if you really studied what they were doing, they were about business. They were about family. They were about their community. They didn't sell drugs in their neighborhood, even if they would pump them in ours. They didn't sleep with each other's wives and girlfriends. That would be a violation that could cost you your life. They didn't tell their children to grow up to be like them. They didn't even, most of their children and wife didn't even know what they did. They would dress in suits, get up in the morning, eat breakfast with their family, read a paper, go out looking like regular business people. So those, you know what I'm saying? So those who call themselves gangster, understand those are the real gangster principles. They took their money and legitimized it. And then they put their families and children in positions that they didn't have to do that. Look at that JFK situation. They say his daddy was a bootlegger. So he got rich off of prohibition, turned around, put his children through schools that allowed them to level up into politics. That's gangster shit. So that's the kind of thing that Nips was about. That's why he bought the block. That's why he bought that Crenshaw and Slauson location that he used to hustle in. Same people that used to run him off the same store owners who would disrespect him and black people when they came up in the stores. He bought that shit, made them pay him rent. That's gangster. He understood the gentrification, and he understood in order to really change people's life, you have to give them different opportunities. So he employed our people. He employed his neighborhood. That's power. That's love. That's really giving back. That's really showing appreciation and really showing that you actually have love for the people around you. Now, I know I said I was gonna get into the conspiracies versus the. Maybe I'll do a screen share and let's go ahead and get some B-roll playing in the background while we have this conversation real quick, y'all. I'm gonna use this B-roll from the journey of opening the store. I think it was from World Star Hip Hop, and hopefully I don't get if it's gonna even let me do this. Might not be able to do this, y'all. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at some of these conspiracy theories, man, that people are speaking about. A lot of people are saying a lot of different things. Cowboys involved, and the reason why I want to go through this is I just want to kind of get my opinion out there, and hopefully some maybe if people can relate to it, and if people are on the sidelines or thinking of certain things, maybe they could just think it through with common sense, because I think it does a disservice to Nipsey and his family when we have some of this flagrant stuff going around, and we're so casually have these different implementations of these conspiracies. What I'm saying? I don't think it does his family a true service. I think that it's also disingenuous for us to think that we can know more from watching YouTube videos and being online thousands of miles away in some cases. Some of y'all ain't even on the West Coast, but you're implying that you know more about the situation than his own family. And you're implying that, obviously his family is stupid or his brother is dumb, or, it's disingenuous. You know what I'm saying? It's very arrogant. What we do know, what we have seen, what has been the accepted consensus even by his family, is that Eric Holder shot him. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's just start there. Before we get to who set him up, before we get to if the police want him dead and if the police orchestrated, let's first start off with the fact that it's been accepted by the family that Eric Holder shot him. Eric Holder, shitty cuss. I think the fact that three or four of Eric Holder's family members ended up dead the first week, I think that should be, you know, enough to understand that, hey, obviously somebody in LA holds Eric Holder accountable for the death of Nipsey Hussle. Eric Holder's girlfriend dead. Two of his family members, three of his family members dead. So let's just start there. Now we could say, hey, maybe the police set him up, this and that. You know what I'm saying? I know it's hard to realize sometimes that sometimes our biggest stars, people that meant the most to us, die over some bullshit by a punk ass motherfucker. Excuse the language. We've seen this with Tupac. We've seen this with even Huey P. Newton, Biggie, Nipsey Hussle. Sometimes just street shit, stupid ass, ratchet, dumbass, dusty Negroes take away people that mean something from us. So before we get to the conspiracies and the police did this and the FBI did that and these and this and that, let's deal with the fact that we obviously have people within our own community that look like us, sometimes that came from the same clique or families as us, or the same street families, or what I'm saying, peer groups. Let's just first acknowledge the fact that we have a problem within ourselves that we have to correct, and that we have to begin to check, be careful, separate, isolate, fortify ourselves so that our own people won't attack those that we love for our enemies, if that's the case. Because you can say that the police set up Nipsey Hussle and the police wanted him dead and this and that, and because of the gentrification he was fighting against, or because the meeting that he was going to have, or this, we can say that. However, the fact that they were able to use an Eric Holder, if that's the case, that's where we have to start at. Because regardless, anytime a Negro, like a shitty cuz, would murder someone who meant so much to the community that even he's from, meaning that what Nipsey was doing for the community was going to retroactively and if not directly, indirectly benefit him as well. Because if the neighborhood conditions are improving, and if unity is starting to come, and more prosperity is starting to come, and more political power, and the youth are getting educated and in a fashion that would allow them to do bigger and better things, that's going to also have a positive effect for Eric Holder and his children. So the fact that he would murder this cat, for whatever reason, whether he was jealous, whether he was just upset, whether he's just crazy, whether somebody else put him up to it, the fact that he would execute that on behalf of whoever lets you know that he didn't even value the good deeds that was going on that would have contributed to his better lifestyle and for his children's future. So let's start there. I wouldn't rule out the possibility that, saying there's other things going on that we don't know about, but we have to start there. Because if our people was truly unified and fortified, then we would there would be nothing that would make us turn against the well-being and what benefits our community. There would be no bag that would be worth murdering someone who's putting a value in your neighborhood, who's raising your neighborhood and street organizations to a higher level of respectability, business, political power. There wouldn't be a bag that would be worth crossing that if we were in the proper mind state and if we really looked at ourselves as a nation and as brothers and sisters. There would be no bag that could be equal to the salvation of our people, because we would see in the long run that that bag is nothing in comparison to our children having a safe place to play and access to resources and education that can change generations of oppression and systematic discrimination and disempowerment. So we could even transition to the Tupac situation. So a lot of people would say that Tupac was, I'm just going to run through a couple scenarios that if we can go conspiracy versus common sense. Let's look at the Tupac situation, okay? Because I know a lot of people, hey, Tupac was killed by the government and this and that because he was going to do this and that. And okay, fine. I'm not saying that the government doesn't have a history of doing these kind of things, but let's just remember that whoever pulled the trigger was one of us, one of our own kind. Let's just remember that Tupac did get in a fight with a brother who was known for catching bodies, a bitch ass nigga. Let's just put it like that. Because anybody who can't take a fade and come back shooting, that's a bitch ass nigga. So let's just say this. Let's just throw a scenario out here. Tupac gets in a fight in Las Vegas. It's on camera because there's all kind of cameras in these casinos. Everybody knew what was in it. If you're in that culture, you knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? It was blood affiliates, Crip affiliates, that type of atmosphere. It was personal shit because of chains getting snapped. It was personal and it was rival at the same time. But I would say probably more personal than the different affiliations of Crips and Blood. It was more of a personal thing. So Pac takes off on Orlando. Everybody knew Orlando wasn't going to accept that, right? But let's just say, since we want to interject conspiracy into it, let's just say as Orlando falls back, plotting, he already knew what he was going to probably do because he wasn't going to just take that L because everybody knew that what kind of dude he was. But so let's just say, for argument's sake, that at some point he was contacted. He falls back to his room. He's chilling, whatever. And let's just say that maybe somebody did come approach him like, "Hey, if you were gonna, it could have been some government affiliates, some whatever, whatever." And maybe they did give him a green light. Maybe they did tell him, "Hey, we don't like Pac either because he's doing too much for the community or whatever." And hey, if you did happen to take him out, I just want to let you know this is the route that Suge usually takes when he goes to that particular club when he's out here, because of course there is a such thing as hip hop police that do trail and watch some of these hip hop artists. So maybe they would have told him, "Hey, this is the route he usually takes. Just letting you know." And if something did happen to him, trust me, you'd be able to get out of Las Vegas. After that, you're on your own. Something like that could have happened, but at the same time, who ultimately made the decision? And this is how we have to look at it. Because if we look past what actually happened to look past that to conspiracy, we're not doing ourselves any justice unless we're going to do something about the conspiracy. We can't just continue to throw terms like Illuminati and all this garbage out there when we're not going to address that in actual, tangible ways. It's not enough. We're doing ourselves a disservice by looking right past the tangible things that we know and the things that we can actually control to chase down ghosts and boogeymen. We can't do that. All this Illuminati, like it's 2019, we're still talking about Illuminati, but we're not actually identifying who actually is doing and has control of some of these elements that we say are Illuminati. We're still actually sitting up here contemplating things like Masonic this and that and Shriners and Masons and all that shit. We're really still doing that because when Nipsey passed, oh, he's 33 and Geometry, that's this and that. Oh, he died at this time and this and that, and this person had a yellow hat, and if you add up these numbers and it equals this and that. Cut it out. Cut it out. That's some spooky ass bullshit. And that usually starts by I'm not gonna go there, but that's some spooky ass bull. That's garbage. It's garbage. 100%. That's some dumbass shit. That's retarded. Because it doesn't matter if he would have died when he was 34, 36, 28. It doesn't matter. Somebody would have added those numbers up and it would always came to some spooky shit no matter what. We can't continue to make scapegoats out of things that are not tangible to us. What the hell's Illuminati? Who's an Illuminati? What's their function? How they really operate? How do you really identify these things? If we can't do that, then let's just stick with what we know. Because if we change what we can change, then the things that's out of our control won't be as detrimental to us. So, in other words, if we can get the shitty cousins and Orlando's out of our community or fortify ourselves in a way that anybody knows that if they cross game, there's a immediate penalty for that, then we'll see less of that. If we organized ourselves and if we had the true unity and vision that we should have, there'd be less of these shitty cousins in Orlando, whatever the fuck his name is. They shouldn't even feel comfortable around us. They shouldn't even feel like they would benefit from murdering people who are actually contributing to the community. And the community shouldn't allow that. The atmosphere really should be that if the government, if the police wanted Nipsey Hussle dead, they should have had to do it themselves, not be able to use one of ours to do it. That's the actual issue. The actual issue is if you want to say these conspiracy theories, then we have to first, in order to be able to actually combat that in real time and tangible ways, we have to acknowledge the fact that they should not be able to use our own people against us like that. You see, if a police officer just jumped out of a car and shot Nipsey Hussle, the whole community would understand what it was immediately, and there would be rebellion. If they really wanted that, that's how they should have had to do it. If that's the case, if that's how it happened. But let's get to the Cowboy situation real quick. Now, Cowboy is one of Nip's homies. In case y'all don't know, Cowboy is one of the reasons why Nipsey Hussle was rapping. He sacrificed his own vehicle before all this blew up, before Nipsey was known, before he even started even recording or whatever, dropped the album. Cowboy forfeited a gift of a vehicle in order to use that money to buy equipment for Nipsey Hussle to rap. They called Cowboy Big Thundercat, Nip Little Thundercat. So that's the bond that they had. Cowboy would not have benefited from Nipsey Hussle's death. And I'm not caping for the dude. I'm not saying that as Hood Talk News says, I ain't saying that he shouldn't shut his dumb ass up. But what I'm saying is, like, let's look at this logically, because what happens is when a couple people start saying a bunch of garbage, it's like if somebody convinces you that this person is guilty or suspect, it doesn't matter Anytime you see that person, the only thing you're looking at it already through a lens of he's guilty, he's suspect. So no matter what he says, oh yeah, that's suspect. Look at that. Look at the way he just touched his nose when he was talking. Yeah, he's nervous because he's guilty. Look at the way he's fidgeting this and that. Yeah, he's guilty. Look at the way he blinked his eye and then he adjusted his hat. Yeah, he's guilty. You know what I'm saying? But if we look at it through logical sense, like, yo, what could he have gained from that? How could he have actually played a role in that? Then you have to consider if he really had something to do with it. You think that you know this more than Nipsey's family and comrades? Because you have to ask yourself, if he had something to do with it, why the hell is he still welcome at the store? How the hell is he still freely walking around right there, even though Eric Holder's people is getting the business? You just got to consider these kind of things. Don't you think that he would have been dealt with by now? If four people affiliated with Eric Holder are gone, but he's still alive, you just got to consider these kind of things, man. Because it's a disservice to the family and friends of Nips to have to see people being accused of things, and then it causes a kind of environment that, saying, makes things uncomfortable. And the fact is, what we do know is somebody shot Nipsey Hussle, and obviously those in Nipsey's circle. And then, oh yeah, another thing. And let's just also use some common sense on the cameras. Now we know that some of that footage was grainy. It was this and that. We understand that. And everybody's asking, well, what about the cameras in the TMC? What about the cameras in the store? Well, the cameras in the store are probably managed by Black Sam and or whoever Nipsey and or Black Sam put in charge of, you know, running that capacity of the store that would have, manage the cameras. Now, I'm just gonna say common sense. I'm just gonna put myself in their situation, and let's say one of the homies or family members was murdered in front of our store, and we have cameras. We know the police are gonna come looking for that footage. You think we're gonna give that to the police? Hell no. We're gonna take them cameras. We're gonna take that footage. We're gonna tell the police we ain't got it, man. There's something malfunctioning going on, this and that. I don't know if it was loaded up straight to the cloud or if they had it on old school tapes. Regardless, I would get rid of it and make sure I only had it for myself and my family, because I would want to look at that so I can determine what happened. It's similar to where, on the streets, you get in a fight with somebody, you get jumped by somebody, you get shot by somebody, but you still live, or your homie gets shot by somebody and you know who did it, and the police ask questions. I don't know. I don't know, officer. I don't know. Why would you say that? You're going to say you don't know. This is common sense, man. I don't know what happened. Why? Because now if I go get that revenge, they're going to know that I knew. I don't have that possible deniability now. So if I know who jumped me and I plan on going and retaliating, I don't know who jumped me, officer. That I don't got nothing to say about it. I don't know. Because if I say, oh, I know it was woo 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 woo, and then something happens to woo 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 woo, they're gonna, of course, I'm gonna be the first suspect. So of course they wouldn't get they wouldn't get the footage of the camera. That would be foolish. Of course, Cowboy's not gonna be in the media really saying what he actually knows. He might know more than he likely knows more than he's saying, but what do you expect him to say to the damn media, man? Since when are we supposed to be trusting the media and the police and speaking to them and letting them know about, what I'm saying? Of course he's gonna say some things that maybe won't add up, or that whatever. He really shouldn't have probably said anything, honestly. But if you really expected him to really sit up there and spill the beans of what he knows, and if you really expected that Black Sam or whoever has the footage of the cameras, if you really expect them to hand that over to the police, that's because, what I'm saying, you're squares. And there's nothing wrong with being a square. I'm just saying, like, you don't understand how the streets work at any level. There's no way that they're gonna hand that footage over. They got that footage so they can identify what happened, so that way they can handle business however they feel like they want to handle business. I'm not implementing them in anything that happened after that. I'm just saying that just makes sense to me. We're not gonna give up that footage. Cowboy ain't gonna sit up here. Of course he's gonna, what I'm saying. Of course he's gonna try to dance around things or whatever. Probably he's not the most articulate person, obviously, Cowboy. But I don't think that he would have. I personally do not believe that he would have anything to do with murdering Nipsey Hussle because he doesn't benefit from it. Nipsey Hussle was his bread and butter. He put in, he sacrificed his money, his resources, went to jail. Woo, woo, woo. He gave his all to help Nipsey's career because he believed in that. Nipsey ended up being very lucrative with his hustle and doing his thing. And as a result, he gave back to those who helped him come up, who believed in him before he had anything. That's that kind of love where why would you don't cross that kind of shit because it's not going to benefit you. Now you're actually able to enjoy a higher standard of living and what you have done is paid off. How often does that happen? How often does when people sacrifice for another brother and that brother comes up, how often does that person dip out and forget all about everybody who helped them out? That happens a lot. So when a real one like Nip comes back like, yo, y'all was down since day one, I'm fucking with you, boo boo boo. Nah, you don't cross that kind of shit because what else does Cowboy have going on that he's able to, you know what I'm saying, enjoy that same standard of living? We know he's dropping an album, but whatever. You really think that come on, man. You guys got to start just using your head, man. Yeah, he's dropping an album. Yeah, maybe he is gonna hustle despite the fact that his homeboy's dead. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that will help his album sales a little bit, but you can't hate that. Nipsey wouldn't hate on that. If Nipsey was alive and Cowboy was dropping his album, you don't think that he would be helping him push that shit? I'm just saying we got to cut out these little corny ass conspiracies because some of the things because here's what I noticed: not only did the conspiracies come right after he was murdered, but also a lot of disrespect. A lot of people he's not. It was a hoax. He ain't dead, or oh he's not even black. Oh his mom was doing voodoo seances and rituals at the memorial, pouring libations and stuff, and that's devil witch worshiping and cut it out, man. That's African spirituality, man. Respect to his mom. Oh, his mom didn't. She wasn't crying enough. And come on, man. You don't know how when she broke down. If she broke down, I just lost a homie a couple weeks ago. I was speaking with his sister leading up to his funeralization in the home arrival party, and she was strong. And she was staying strong and positive, and she was generous, like her brother, and she was very, what I'm saying, a lot of love, a lot of positive energy, just good people, and that's how his family is. And she was strong. But of course, at some point, she broke down. So sometimes people they can be strong. Sometimes you don't know how other people mourn. I thought I was cool with it, and then I kept breaking down. I cried like a baby the first day or two. Then I thought I was cool. And I was trying to be strong and try to do normal, regular shit, and then it hit me again. Even to this day, I really still can't believe it. So you can't judge how other people mourn or how they go through their things. You're not seeing her 24 hours a day. You don't know what she's going through, man. She lost her son. Why disrespect that? How are you going to sit up here and disrespect somebody who was doing something for the community that you ain't doing? And you're going to disrespect somebody who passed, who meant so much to our people and to his family. And you're disrespecting this dude, disrespecting his family. Like, how cold hearted can we be that we have no regard for our own people and the family of the deceased? Imagine you going through something like that and having to see online people saying all this reckless shit about a loved one that you just lost. That's self hate. That's callous monsterism. You are the shitty cousins. Believe that. Y'all are the shitty cousins. Y'all are the Orlando, whatever his name is, that killed Pop. You guys are those prototypes. You're the type of people that could be influenced by our enemies to go against our people because you're doing it already without being influenced. How do you think that they flip the shitty cuz if this is what you want to go with? How you think they would be able to flip a shitty cuz to murder Nipsey Hussle because he had to have a lot of self hate? He would have had to have that same callous um, disregard for what the for life and for his own people. So y'all who are doing those things, you guys are the same ones that would be able to be manipulated. You guys are the shitty cousins out there. You don't care about his mom. You don't care about his brother, his dad, his family. You don't care about the people who love them, that's mourning them. You're gonna just go on and attack, disrespecting him after he's dead. How are you not the same prototype and cut from the same cloth as a shitty cuz? Anyway, that's all I really want to say, man. It's Jay Dizzle. Subscribe, check out Black Guy Stand Radio, melanatedpeople.net, App Store. The link is in there. Get involved in cryptocurrency, y'all. And one last message is this: if you really love Nip, if you really understand why he said the marathon continues, if you really understand what he was doing in his message, the best thing that you can do is be a better person. The best thing that you can do is get involved in community things. Because that is one thing that I did love about the love that everybody showed. And one positive thing, if you could say that, that came from his death, is that at least people started to value, or at least it appeared that people started to value things like STEM program and buying the block and helping your people and giving positive messages. It did seem like people did start to value that more, because I know, as somebody who's involved in activism, I understand how difficult and challenging it is sometimes to get people excited and get people to support you. That's why I said, look, there's a lot of Nipsey Hustles in your community right now. Make sure you support them. Support those ones that don't have the money Nipsey had, that don't have the high visibility that Nipsey had. Support those who are actually trying to do things to stop the violence in the communities, visiting prisons, you know what I'm saying, helping the children education, food programs, school drives. Support those who are actually doing that kind of work, that aren't going to get the same kind of praises in Nipsey Hussle because they're not as known. Support the Nipsey Hustles, male and female, in your community, or become one of the Nipsey Hustles by actually doing that work. And that's the lesson we should really get, because the marathon continues. It's a marathon, just like our existence in this country. It's been a marathon. It ain't over yet. It's going to take time. It's a process. Dizzle.